what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Your boy.
Going up. I know they can't stand it.
China stock suffered its worst sell-off since 2008. It's now a good time to buy. China.
Yeah, China. I mean, I think we can't talk about whether to buy or not until we understand why it hit its lowest point since 2008. So obviously, and if anyone wasn't paying attention, COVID is back in China. And so
allegedly,
well, they closed down factories. So they closed down factories, which led to the sell-off. But so I mean, obviously, the way they handled COVID in the early stages was a lot different than we did. And so they didn't have the type of outbreak. But there are certain cities right now in China that are noticing outbreaks. And so what's happened
what cities is it?
Wuhan. Shenzhen, which is key for a lot of technology companies, including Apple. I think 1/5 of the production happens in the city. And so since there's an outbreak, they've closed down factories for 6 days. That's the minimum. They got to close them for 6 days. And anything, if they don't see numbers changing, then they extend it. And so you shut down production for 6 days, shut down a lot of business for a lot of companies. And so, the market got hit. The Shenzhen got hit. So you're looking at a bunch of sectors, and including like gambling and travel companies as well, right? So it's interesting. Like we're looking at it here in New York. Like I know since we've been back in over the past week or so, it's like, all right, well, New York feels like it's kind of open. And so to hear COVID and hear China again, I'm like, nah, man, not again. We can't. Don't do this.
I mean, and once again, we are one of the few countries that lets the companies run our country. And also, too, when you guys are investing in Chinese companies, even in publicly traded markets, you need to make sure that you're actually owning shares of that company and not offshore accounts.
That is a fact. Now, that is something like when the fine print, when you try to buy shares of these companies, like if you try to buy shares of Alibaba, look at the fine print and what you're actually getting. I don't want to bring up the Luke and Coffee thing, but I will. I will.
There's a few.
When I did the Luke and Coffee thing, I looked at the fine line and I looked under. I'm like, wait, I'm actually not buying shares of the company. I'm buying like, well, and so like that, like doing that type of homework and doing that research led me to, all right, well, okay, here comes the rug.
Dior, right? Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. Listen, when we say do your own research, go look. This isn't a conspiracy theory either. Like, go look and see when you actually buy what you're getting. You have to be very careful. And then the way that government runs their country is how most countries are ran. So you have to be careful. And then when Jack Ma just, he went to his meditation retreat for a few months, that was indicative of what's to come. Now, if Alibaba goes 20% underneath its all-time low, I would definitely take a look at it. Anything outside of that price, no. In combination with inflation, global recession, my biggest fear is if we don't get this Russia and Ukraine, my theory is Putin is a proxy for China. He will leave Russia, have safe harbor in China. China takes over Taiwan and they try and destroy the world economy so they can become the superpower.
You think Putin was going to leave Russia?
I hear my dad, my mom, and my grandma from heaven telling me, "Baby, don't touch that."
Don't touch
That's what I said.
Set you up.
No, I'm just asking. I just don't see
March
that.
March 9th just passed. I think Notorious B.I.G. had one of the greatest albums in life after death. We're gonna segue to a whole new thing. What album is that? That's Sade in.
Yeah. It's Women's Month. So we got Janet up there. Shout out to Control. Shout out to Sade. Yeah. So I mean, in addition to everything we said about China and COVID and the market taking 8%, there's also some rumors of delisting, which is never great for a company, right? When you get delisted.
What's getting delisted?
There's rumors they're saying like Tencent might get delisted, JD, like all these companies, these Chinese companies.
All these Chinese companies?
Yeah, Chinese companies getting delisted from the stock exchange. So
imagine if Suge Knight had Steve Jobs' intellect. Now multiply that times 10, that's their leadership.
This Russia-Ukraine situation, let's briefly talk about this. Escalated. It's been escalating. And he's Putin. He's not backing down. He's not backing down. So lasting a little bit longer than I thought. I think because partially because China actually did give him a lifeline. But how long do you think this is?
It'll be over before the third quarter.
Yeah, they starving him out. Unrest in the country now. People trying to, they trying to flee Russia.
The oligarchs that have fled.
They trying to move
They don't have a
money.
choice.
Yeah, they're on their. I don't even want to call them yachts. I call them ships. Like they're on. They have the Maldives.
Can't dock anywhere.
Yeah. There's a few safe havens. Like Dubai is a safe haven, and the Maldives is safe. So like they're parking their ships outside of the Maldives, and I don't know how they get into Dubai, but they're getting to Dubai, and that's kind of like been a safe haven for the oligarchs. That's the wealthiest of the wealthy Russians.
Got it. Yeah. Hopefully this gets resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Before the start of third quarter, it will. But this definitely exposes a lot about how fragile the market really is. If I can just be very honest, there's not many companies that are actually producing great product, have great service, great outcome, and even in the angel space, like there's a lot of things that are overvalued, 150 times sales, and it's like you ask the average person on the street, have they ever heard of the company? They're like, no. I feel like we are entering the second version of House of Cards that we saw in 2007, but now it could be global. The impact would be global. And now if we go into another Lehman-like event and we have a meltdown, you can't print your way out of it because we printed all the money prior. So when everybody went and got Rolls-Royce trucks, who prior couldn't get 3 index funds, you had to know something was really bad was going to come. We are spending too fast. And then, I mean, I had everybody in Red Panda read the Ray Dalio book. We are on our tail end in terms of our dominance. Even in comparison to Canada, you can argue some parts of DR are more advanced than the United States of America.
Definitely too far. Took it a little too far with the DR conversation. Shout out to all my Dominicans, though.
There are some places where we can argue. I'll say this. We saw it in London. Okay, let's go here. The cereal that we have traditionally fed our children is classified as candy in other countries. So if I can erode your health, and our educational system is one of the worst on the planet. If I rot you from the inside out, it's tough, man. Yeah, we got some luxuries that we have, but there's some advantages that other countries have that we definitely are lacking in.
Yeah, one of the things that they said we got to play close attention to is they're moving towards Poland and trying to attack Poland. Now, Poland is interesting because it's a NATO nation. So if you attack that nation, then obviously, the entire NATO can now get involved. And they said that that's kind of a place that, people are harboring and sending weaponry and utilities to the people of Ukraine. And so pay attention to that, Poland.
Go ahead. I know you're a lot of Dominican flags. I was about to say, we might do that. Come on. You mean quit playing with me. You're not going to have me go to New York. You're in trouble. No. I need my passport to Jersey and New York.
We got to be good on that.
Come on.
My birthday, February 27th. That's Dominican Independence Day. So, shout out to all the Dominicans out there.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Your boy
going up. I know they can't stand it.